6 months ago, the New York Times obtained documentation showing that the White House and the Trump administration were repeatedly intervening in the scientific process at the CDC. And indeed, they were just publishing their own non-scientific White House junk, but they were putting it out under the CDC's name. And when CDC scientists and CDC officials tried to object to it, they overruled them, and this Trump nonsense went out as if it was CDC guidance. The Trump White House stealing the CDC's good name and instead just putting out their own junk to bolster the president's weird ideas about COVID and putting them out under the CDC's letterhead. That was worse than their usual fraud and mismanagement, because that was the kind of thing that breaks what we most need to be intact, right? That was the kind of thing that steals and sullies the hard-earned reputation of the most authoritative source we have in the world, which we really need right now at a time when we and the world need authoritative science on how to fight COVID, right? We need them to be doing their best work. It's the worst health crisis in a century. We've never needed to depend on them more. And so the Trump administration cut their knees out from under them and made them put out junk in their name. The Trump-appointed CDC director, Robert Redfield, did not resign. But not long after that show, the American people, of course, decided that Robert Redfield's boss in the White House, Donald Trump, would be retired from the White House against his will. And so we got a new president, a new administration. That meant a new CDC director. And now, finally, today, without any fanfare whatsoever, they started to do the cleanup. The number 2 official at the CDC, Dr. Anne Schuchat, who had been silenced alongside other career scientists at the CDC under the Trump administration. Dr. Schuchat today submitted this very low-key report to the new CDC director, Dr. Rochelle Walensky, President Biden's appointee to run the CDC. And Schuchat, again, was one of the career scientists whose public statements and appearances were stopped by the Trump White House. Well, in the Biden administration, she's allowed to have public-facing documents and appearances again. And in fact, they put her in charge right away of going back over all the CDC COVID guidance and advice that was published during the Trump administration to make sure that none of the junk survived, to take out, to remove anything that hadn't really been CDC science that the Trump administration insisted be put out anyway. And so this was publicly posted at the CDC's website today with no fanfare whatsoever. It didn't even have a headline on it. You had to scroll through all of the various statements in the press section of the CDC's website to find it with no headline on it. It's all written in language so low key that it might clinically work as an anti-inflammatory. But you can't hide this news from those of us who care about the CDC as the world's gold standard authority on public health. They are not trying to make this a political thing. There is the word Trump and interference and politics doesn't appear in this document. But they're fixing it. And the bottom line is that in their quiet way, in their diligent, quiet way, they are now making clear that all this stuff is gone. For example, this is a good one. The importance of reopening of America's schools this fall. Not a typo. That was the title. That was a Trump administration thing last July that was forced onto the CDC. It was not their work, but it was put out in CDC's name by the Trump White House. One clear sign that something might be wrong there is that there really is an extra "of" in the title. The importance of reopening of America's schools this fall. That's such a Trump White House kind of thing. I'm surprised it wasn't in all caps with some swears. But that is one of the things that is now gone. That was junk put out in the CDC's name. It's gone now. Also, that weird thing they put out in the CDC's website April of last year, opening up America again. See, it's almost like the president's slogan. And intentionally so. Not the CDC's work, but put up on the CDC's website. That is gone now. Remember when the CDC put this out last year, inexplicably? If you don't have symptoms, don't bother getting tested, even if you've been exposed to somebody who you know has COVID. They put that out with the CDC's name on it in August. It was instantly apparent that it was trash from the Trump White House. But they put it out. Well, now it's gone. The CDC, they are restoring integrity. How do you get your reputation back? In part by owning up to the stuff that was done inappropriately, naming it, removing it, making sure it doesn't happen again. That's what they're doing. The CDC director under President Biden, Dr. Walensky, ordered a top-to-bottom review of all the statements about COVID made in CDC's name, all the statements that had been corrupted and falsified by inappropriate interference from the Trump administration and the Trump White House directly. That review is now done, and the trash is gone. Now, we just need to be sure that kind of attack on the CDC never happens again, or if anybody ever tries it again, it never gets that far again. I still can't believe that Robert Redfield never quit in protest of what they did to the agency he was supposedly running while he was in charge of it. But that will be what he lives with as his reputation and what he did to public health in America and in the world under his leadership. While he let all that happen and he participated in the corrupting efforts that disgraced the CDC at that critical time. He never resigned, never peeped. Just an incredible disgrace. Hey, thanks for watching our YouTube channel. You should know that you can follow today's top stories and breaking news and catch up on your favorite MSNBC shows all in one place. Download the NBC News app today.